everybody, my name is Carla and you have reached my FlossTube channel, Carla being Crafty, where I talk about mostly cross stitch but also other crafts that I enjoy and a little bit of life thrown in. Today is a super special extra video. It is my 2022 WIP Parade. I'm very excited to be doing this. This will be my 19, 20, 21, this will be my fourth WIP Parade. And I look forward to doing this every year. It makes a huge mess, but in a way it's good because then I have to tear everything apart and then put everything back together. So it kind of helps me organize a little bit going into the new year. And it's fun to share all my WIPs with you guys. And so it's something that I love doing. I always do, well, I shouldn't say always because this is the only second year I'm doing it this way, but I've been doing a WIP parade at the very end of the year, and then at the very beginning of the year I do a finished parade. And this year I'm going to have a lot of finishes to show, so I'm really happy about that, and that will come out next week. But let us get started. It's going to be a long video, I would assume. In the past, I have just shown you my WIPs kind of in chronological order from the first ones I started to the most recent. And I'm going to kind of do that this year as well, except that I have moved a few, like 6 projects into a category that I'm calling non-active WIPs. So what that means is in my head, they are WIPs that I do intend to work on someday, but I've started them and they've just kind of been put on hold, either because I am not as interested in that project right now, or because I have another project that's active, that's really active, that's very similar, that kind of thing. And instead of keeping those on my, active WIP list and feeling guilty about the fact that I wasn't touching them, I thought, okay, I'm just going to put them in another category where I am acknowledging that they're not getting worked on, and I will revisit it later at some point. I will either work on them again, or I will decide that I am not interested in working on them and I will officially take them off my WIP list. Now I will say I have 2 WIPs that I took off my WIP list last year and I still have them. I didn't throw them away or anything like that, but I don't know that I'm ever going to stitch on them again. At some point I may take out the stitches so I can reuse fabric. I haven't done anything with them yet is what I'm saying. So I will do those at the beginning, and then we'll kind of do the rest of the active WIPs in chronological order. Before I even start that though, I do have a WIP to show you guys that is not even on my WIP list because it's kind of a special project. I talked about this kind of in depth last year. It is the Stitching the Situation project that I'm doing. Stitching the Situation, and if you are interested in this, there are many different sites that you can go. There's a Instagram page, there's a Facebook page, there's a website, which is stitchingthesituation.com. So basically this is an art project that was started by let me see if I can get the information quickly. Anyway, this was an art project that was started to kind of commemorate what has happened during the pandemic and COVID and what is continuing to happen. And basically people who are interested are assigned a day, and then the assignment is to stitch this block for that day. The size of the block is dependent on 2 things. There's a red section at the top here. That section is the number of people that died that day from COVID. And basically you're given a big blank piece of canvas, so you can do whatever you want with it within a few guidelines. And then the blue section is all the new cases that were reported that day. So when I found out about this, I was interested. I contacted the artist, and I ended up with January 29th, 2021, which is the day that my mom passed away. So I have this big old piece of Aida. And obviously I am not doing this all myself. I'm going to stitch I'm going to stitch the border. I'm going to do this motif in the center that I didn't design it. I put together some other patterns from my mom. I designed the corner. I designed the date that's going to go at the bottom, because the requirements is that this section needs to be stitched all in shades of blue. This section needs to be stitched all in shades of red and pink. and they want the date on it somewhere, and it is on a 14 count Aida stitched with 3 strands. They give you the blue color for the 2 outlines, the red and the blue color for the outlines of the 2 boxes, and after that it's up to you. So I reached out to my community, and after I get the parts that I'm doing done, or done to a place where it won't be confusing to everybody else, and I'm going to be passing it on to anybody who is interested in stitching on it. I believe my sister-in-law Stacy is going to actually stitch the date that I designed on at the bottom, but there's going to be plenty of stuff for anybody to stitch on. There's fill-in, if you just want to fill in background, if you want to design something, you can. If you just want to stitch a block of a color, you know, of a blue somewhere, kind of make a mosaic. So that's what this piece is. I haven't worked on it much lately. It is kind of hard for me to work on, both emotionally and physically. This is really stiff Aida. You know, obviously with a project of this size, they had to go with stuff that was easily available and relatively inexpensive, and it is very stiff Aida. I want to finish the border, and then I'm going to wash it to try and take out some of the stiffness. But I'm almost done with the border, and as you can see, I started the motif in the middle, which is basically going to be kind of a floral wreath, and then a fancy initial R in the center for my mom's name, which was Rosalind. And then the corner piece that I did, you can see right there in the broken heart, there's one little hot pink stitch, and that represents my mom. So anyway, that's kind of where I am on this. Again, I haven't worked on it a lot lately. Just, you know, you have to be in the right frame of mind, but I do want to get that border done and pass it on early in the year. Even if I don't finish my part, if I pass it on to Stacy so she can maybe do the date, then it'll get moving with other people. So that's not really on my WIP list, although it is a project that I am working on. Okay, so now let's go to the 6 non-active WIPs. Now, every year when I've done my WIP parade, every year there's one project that for whatever reason I can't find, and like this year doesn't seem to be any different. I can't find one of my projects. I'm sure I have it somewhere. If you hear banging, Baggy is on the floor playing with one of his Hanukkah toys. So I'm sure it's somewhere. I don't know where, and I may come across it sometime in here, but the one that I can't find right now is Chester's Place by Whistle Stop Stitcher. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that project, and I'm probably maybe a third done with it. And it is on my non-active WIPs list right now because I just haven't worked on it in a while, and I have to kind of get the motivation to go back to that one. But anyway, I can't find it right now, so that's a little bit moot anyway. Okay, so the other 5 that are inactive right now, I have a Long Dog sampler, Pavane for these times. And I have done very little on this. I'm stitching it on 20 count Opalescent Aida, and I'm using sulky thread on it. And I only have, you know, kind of like the top corner started. But this is my kind of 2020 commemorative piece that just, yeah, I just lost a little bit of steam on it, although I really like it. It is similar in how I'm working it to another project that I have, so I kind of want to get that one done, and then I'll go to this one. Okay, I have to figure out where I'm going to put everything. I'm going to end up having an avalanche, I feel like. Okay. All right, I just took something from there and put it where? Oh no. Ah, okay, they fell in. Okay, Ringing Meadows is a bead embroidery kit, and is that what this is? No. Basically, I mean, this is a little repetitive, and I kind of like burnt out on it. And I've also been doing a lot of beading on my actual cross stitch project, so this became much less important to me. But you know, I'm not going to get rid of it because it is really pretty. I may eventually decide I don't really want to work on it, but for right now, it just is in the not so active pile. Okay, pomegranate. So I have a Mill Hill kit that I started, and it's kind of like on hold a little bit. It is Buttons and Beads pomegranate. I think it's really pretty, and I do like working on Mill Hills. I just haven't worked on this one in a while, and I feel like I did have a mistake on it, and I didn't really want to figure it out. So when I get to the point where I do want to figure it out, then I will. I think that's the right way up. So yeah, not a ton done on this, but you know, some. And I certainly don't want to get rid of it or anything like that. And then the Froth and Bubble by Long Dog Samplers is my other long dog that is also on the inactive list. So I really love this project, and I'm going to love it when it's done. This is another one that is not particularly fun to actually work on. Yeah, I'm going to take this needle minder off of here because this is too cool of a needle minder to be sitting on an inactive project and not being used. This fabric is very stiff and difficult to stitch on. It tends to make my hands hurt, so it kind of got set aside. So there's 4 main panels, although this is probably the smallest one. So I'm maybe a little bit under a quarter done. And the last inactive WIP is my full-size Hade. So this is the only full-size Hade that I have. It is Village Bookstore by Randall Spangler. I love this project. However, I burnt out a little bit on, I even have the cover in here, on this idea of doing a full-size. And I feel like it's something I may come back to at some point when I have more stitching time, when I'm retired or something like that. Let's see if I have a picture. This is Village Bookstore. It has all those circles around this picture because those are all cats. That's why, one of the reasons why I love this. But I did not love the slowness of seeing any significant progress on it, and I prefer like the minis and the quick stitches. This is all I've gotten done on it. So it is definitely a start, and it is an inactive WIP for now, and that is fine with me. I don't want to give up on it, but I also don't want to be putting in a lot of time on it. There's other things that I want to stitch more. Okay, so those are my inactives. All right, if I come across Whistle Stop Stitcher as we're going along, I'll show you, but I looked through this stuff like 3 times and didn't see it, so. All right, so now let's go to my active WIPs. And as I said, I'm gonna do them kind of in order. My first one, I was trying this morning. I was trying to get this off my WIP list. This is probably going to be on both my WIP list and my finish parade, or my WIP parade and my finish parade that I'm going to do next week, because this is going to get done today. But because, you know, I have to be honest, it's not finished when I'm doing this. And this is Realist Sweet William. So you can see I have one flower right here that needs to be done and a little bit of this greenery, and that will get done today. Even if I have to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning, it's gonna get done today. So I'm so close to finish on this. It's one of my oldest projects, and I just really think it's beautiful. If you've been watching my Hanukkah series, I got a bunch of realist kits for myself for Hanukkah, but I want to start one probably in February when my theme is florals, and I don't want to have that one still on my WIP list if I'm starting a new one. So that needs to get done. Okay, All Hallows Eve by Glendon Place is in my Halloween bag. Here it is. I made this bag. I don't have really any bags to show you that are like fancy that I got from a designer. If I have fabric ones that were created like this, except for one which is not which is holding a kit right now. It's not holding a starter project. I made all of these. So, and everything else is just purchased ones. So this is All Hallows Eve by Glendon Place. I stitched on this. It was on my list to get finished for the year, but then after Halloween, I kind of decided that there were other things that were more important to get finished this year, and so it went back to sleep until probably next September or so, and I will pull it out again then. So here we go. So this year I did a couple more lines of the words. I finished the ghost. I got about halfway through on the ghoul. And yeah, and that's where we are with this one. And this is on Jewel by Picture This Plus. This is one of my very earliest projects. It is a project that when I started it, was using almost as like a tester for all different kinds of flosses, which now I've used, but at the time I hadn't. So it was the first time I used Whisper, and the first time I used Satin, and the first time I used Sparkly, and the first time I used Glow in the Dark, and all kinds of stuff on that one. Okay. To everything there is a season. And this is by Cross My Heart Ink. It's an older, way older chart. I started this one in honor of my dad. So I started it on his birthday in 2019. This was his favorite song by the Byrds. And this is kind of an old-fashioned looking chart. I realize that. I still think it's charming. This was done copyright of 1994. And I don't stitch on it very much, but you know, I put in a couple days on it every year, and that's fine. There's no rush on it. So that's where I am on it. Now, this, before I knew any better, I'm using like the DMC, you know, sparkle floss, which everyone says is the devil's floss, and they are right. It is horrible stuff to work with. So whenever I pull this out, I try and do a little bit on the border, because if I don't, then I will never ever finish this. If I got down to where I only had to work with that stuff, I'd never finish it. So I try and do a little bit on that every time I pull this out. I will be working on this in April for a couple days probably, for my friends and family theme. Okay, Catnap Fae by Naughty Tate. Now this was one that I was trying really hard to get done this year. And I just got to a point where I realized that wasn't going to happen. However, my theme for January coming up is focus on full coverage, and so I am determined that this will get done. This will get finished in January. This is Catnap Fae. So I'm not stitching the background, obviously. So basically we have kind of her wings left. And I think that that will be doable if I focus on it in January. So I think what I'm going to do, I mean, I have several full coverages that are going to be stitched in January, but I think I'm going to alternate. So like where I might stitch on one thing, you know, on each thing once a week or something, this one's going to get 2 or 3 days a week so that I can get it done. Because she's so close. So that's Catnap Fae. And here's the actual picture of it. So you can see that all, you know, this diagonal is going like that. So it's just the wings here that needs to get finished. Okay, Classic Poo. This is another one that I kind of started in honor of my dad. And I have this little golden book in here with it, which I'm not going to use to make a gift for anybody else, because I want to keep this book, because this is the story that my dad was reading to me, that I have this great memory of, and that's why I'm stitching this. So let me see if I have the picture. Tiny little picture. Giant project. So again, this is one of the first things that I started stitching that first year, and I got this from Etsy. Did not realize how huge this project actually was. This is one of those things I feel like I stitch on it, stitch on it, stitch on it. It makes no discernible difference. I mean, I've stitched on that balloon, it feels like forever. And it still is only maybe, what, a third done. Maybe a little bit more than that. It's only going to be 3 colors. It's on this really cool fabric that I got off of eBay. I think it's called Gelati or something. And I remember when I saw the fabric on eBay, I was like really intrigued by it. It's a 14 count Aida, because, you know, again, it was one of my first projects. And I was really intrigued by it. And I thought, oh, that's great fabric. But you know what I use it for? It's pink with blue splotches, or blue with pink, no, blue with pink splotches. And then when I thought about doing a Pooh Bear pattern, and I saw this pattern, I realized that this piece of fabric looks like a sky with pink clouds. And I thought that would be perfect. It just is going to fit. I mean, it's going to use this entire piece of fabric. In fact, that's why these margins are not very big, because this is just such a giant pattern. That, again, I'm not in any rush to get this one finished. Mouth of the Flower by Octavia Ocampo. There is a companion piece that I think I've seen a couple people stitching on it that's called Bird Family or something, and that one also is like these birds that look like a tree, the way that they're situated, whereas these flowers look like a face. Just always thought that was really cool. This is on 16 count, Touch of Peach. So like I was moving up in the world when I started this one, and I got a 16 count instead of a 14 count. And that's where I am. Not hugely far, but again, this is one of those patterns that's really giant. I had a knack when I first started stitching for picking patterns that didn't look giant but were giant. Now I pick patterns that are giant but look giant, and so I kind of know a little bit more what I'm getting into. Okay. Oh, okay, that's Frozen Bubble. Next one is This Home, Cuddles and Caffeine. This is a piece that I'm stitching for my sister-in-law, and I kind of slowed down on this when she started stitching just because I kind of felt like she didn't necessarily need something from me because she was doing her own things, but this is so perfect for her and I do want to get it done. So the original chart is This Home, runs on Cuddles and Caffeine. But I recharted it to say This Mom, runs on Cuddles and Caffeine. Stacey is a big coffee drinker, loves the stuff, and drinks it regardless of time of day. This is on a piece of Aida that I dyed myself. And again, I'm going to stitch on this in April during my friends and family stitching, and I think I actually could possibly get this done. If I don't get it done in April, I think that it will be a one of those projects that I put on my like to a finish at the end of the year, because it's time that this is done and given to her. And I lied before when I said I didn't have any special bags. I do have quite a few like book sleeves. Most of these I got from a company on Etsy called the Aunt Farm, AUNT Farm. But this one is from Bookmarksicle. Okay, and then Star Trek. So the Star Trek pattern is one that I'm doing for my brother. And I basically took 4 charts that were from Fangirl Stitches on Etsy. So I have 4 of these casts of Star Trek. So I have the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, and I'm putting them one on top of each other for my brother. And then, so the original series just says Star Trek at the bottom, so I put the Star Trek at the top, and then I charted the original series using the letters that were in the other patterns, and so that's what I'm doing. So I'm, you know, quarter done. And basically the only differences, or the only changes, is I am doing beads for the eyes. Oh, these two guys still don't have their eyes. I'm doing beads for the eyes because I tried doing French knots. They look terrible. Made them look demented. So I decided beads. Beads for the eyes would be better. The way it's actually charted is it's just at cross stitches in there, but I didn't like the way that looked either because it like the cross stitches ran into the hair, and I just thought that looked weird. So that's when I decided it was going to be something else. Okay, Ella, the Frog Princess. She is in one of these bags. This one? No. Oh dear, dear, dear. Here she is. She is a Mirabillia. I think she was my first Mirabillia, actually. Well, no, she was my first actual Mirabillia. I did a Nora Corbett before her. And I'm actually doing 1/1 skin, which I love the way that looks. It is kind of a pain to do, and I haven't done it since then. But part of the reason is because of fabrics that I've chosen. I was planning on doing 1/1 skin for Enchantress of the Abyss, but then I ended up having to do it on an Aida. So I think I will do 1/1 skin again, but anyway, here we go. This is where she is. So I love the way the 1/1 skin looks, the effect it gives. So I really like this pattern. However, I don't love, like, I love the way it looks, and when it's done, I don't love stitching with the colors in her dress. The kind of dull yellowy beige colors are not my favorite, so that part is a little bit, I don't know, more difficult. But I stitched through that to get to the flowers. But I haven't stitched on her in a while because of just other things I've been doing, but she definitely is going to come out to play during our Fancy Folk. So I will enjoy getting some more work on her. Okay, Night Walk Down by the Blue Flower. That's not that one. Oh, I think that's this. Yes. So Night Walk Down. I started this in 2020 as my Black Cat birthday sal. I'm stitching it on linen that I dyed myself. Linen is not my favorite thing to stitch on, but I dyed this piece of linen and it was so beautiful. I wanted to use it. And this is one of those charts, again, that is giant. So I did like the cat and the lady, which were my favorite parts. Did those first. Maybe that wasn't the smartest thing to do, but then I kind of burnt out on it. So I haven't worked on it a lot. And I may get to a point with this where I will decide I'm done. And I don't know. Again, I love it. It is a little bit maybe more prim than like my style is now. But I love the lady and the cat. So I don't know. I just don't necessarily like stitching it on the linen, and this is small linen too. It's 36 count opalescent linen, and I'm not a linen stitcher, so you know that kind of tells you something. But I have not taken it off my WIP list as of yet. It's not even in the inactive pile, so she'll probably come out during Fancy Folk maybe. We'll see. And I may fall in love with her again. Okay. Sampler au Chat by Jardin Privé, which I'm doing on 20 count Aida with Sulky. This is my project that I take when I am staying for a couple days over at my brother's. I have it in this cute little bag that I got from the kids for Valentine's Day a couple years ago. So I figured it was, you know, a small enough project that everything fit in the small bag, and I figured instead of trying to figure out every week what I was gonna bring, or not every week, but every time I went, I would just have one project that was the one I did over there, and then I don't have to think about it, and I just keep it in kind of my bag that I bring every time. So this is how far I am on that one. And as I said, I'm stitching this with sulky. So I have a variegated sulky for the main color, and then all of the cats are done in the purple, coordinated purple, and all of the little doodads are done in this rose color. So the other little animals and hearts and things like that. I really like using sulky on the 20 count Aida. I think it looks really pretty, and it's a fun way to stitch. Okay, next one, Calendar Cats. I'm working on spring right now. This is artwork by Edie Harper. Which I found this on eBay and I thought it was really cool. So I dyed 4 pieces of 18 count Aida, right? 18 count Aida. Yes. I dyed 4 pieces of 18 count Aida to do these, and I'm working on spring right now. I didn't dye them, you know, to be exactly the colors that are in the chart, but so I'll show you spring in a second. But this is going to be winter, fall, and summer, I think. Spring is this spring green color. Now again, these don't look very big, but remember this is 18 count, and that cat is endless white stitching. But again, this is one that I want to get done hopefully this year, so we'll see. Collage by Laurel Birch. DesignWorks. Okay, where is it? Right here. Oh, sorry. This was a New Year, New Start 2021, I think. Basically, my friend Dawn Frisch gave me a gift card, and this is what I got with it. So it's a Hanukkah gift from Dawn Frisch, basically. I really like it. I like Laurel Birch, first of all. My only thing with this is that the floss colors that came with it do not match this picture at all. They're much less vibrant. I mean, they're still pretty, don't get me wrong, but they're not as dark and vibrant as the picture. So I feel like it's coming out just a little bit more pastel-y, I guess. I did change the fabric on this. It came with an Aida, and I just didn't want to stitch on the Aida. So I'm doing it on a white Lugana. It's pretty much a full coverage project except for this very bit at the top. But that is how far I am. But you can see it's not as like wow in your face colors as the picture. And so that was a little bit disappointing, but I still am enjoying it. I still really like it. It's just, you know, I wish it had been a little bit more true to the picture. Okay, that was Cat Collage. Next is Starburst and Stripes. This is Starburst and Stripes Forever by Chatelaine Designs. This is not my usual style, but I just really liked, I just liked this pattern, and I liked the starbursts on it, and they're fun to stitch. I pulled my own colors and everything, and I'm just doing it on this sort of fiddler's cloth, Aida. I'm done with the blue part, so now it's just doing the white and red stripes. Okay, Wind Moon Fairy, which is a Dimensions kit. Not that. So this is artwork by Nene Thomas. Yeah, and it's a Dimensions Gold kit, so that means that there's a lot of half stitches with 3 strands and half stitches with 2 strands and full stitches with 1, 2, 3 strands, and yeah. And I'm just stitching this on the kit fabric. So I haven't really gotten much into the fairy herself yet, except for her wings. And when I did the back stitch on this, I pulled it out like 3 times. I was so unhappy with it, and finally decided that couching it was like the best plan. So she will come out when I'm working on fancy folk and fairies and such, and cats. So she fits a bunch of categories. Okay. Next, Bellatrix by Bella Filipina. She is... Oh, that's not Bellatrix. Good heavens. Bellatrix, where are you? Oh. She's down here. She's in a bag that I made myself. So apparently this is one of the most popular Bella Filipina patterns for, you know, good reason, because look it, she's so pretty. And if you thought that was pretty, just wait. Just wait. Look how gorgeous she is. I just love her face so much. She is just so pretty. Now, this is one I could have done skin 1/1, and to be honest, I just didn't think about it when I started working on her. But she still looks really pretty. And I haven't worked on her. This is on a piece of hand-dyed by Rolanda fabric, which is one of my favorite hand dyers. And yeah, just such pretty fabric. Such a pretty piece. I started beading her too because I kind of got into this place where I wanted to try and start beading stuff. And I just love her. And I haven't been stitching on her at all during, you know, my end of the year sort of push to a finish because she isn't really that close to finish. So I miss her. So I'm looking forward to her coming back out to play for a while. What are you doing? Yes, there's a mess down here, so maybe don't increase it. Okay, next, Kitty Magic by Katerina Kokiatis, and this is charted by Haid. It's a, I think it's a mini. What is my picture? It's a mini, but it's not that small. I was so intrigued by this one because it is almost monochromatic. I'm gonna sneeze. Hold on. No, I guess I'm not. This is 375 by 355, so it's not that small, but it is a mini. Oh, it's a quick stitch. I'm sorry. So it was cut down from a bigger chart, but it is not quite monochromatic because the eyes are going to be green. So there's a bunch of greens that there's just a couple stitches that are on it, but I'm still up in the corner where we haven't even hit any of the darker fur yet. We're still kind of in the background with the white star, and so I know when I show this it just doesn't look like that much yet. It is super sparkly and it's gonna be gorgeous when it's done. I just I'm not far enough along yet where you can really see anything, but this will definitely be worked on in January on Focus for Full Coverage, so hopefully we'll move that along a bit. Okay. Next we have Enchantress of the Abyss, which is my next Bella Filipina. Another one that I just love. I think it is so beautiful. Here's my picture. Here we go. Enchantress of the Abyss. She was a huge saga as far as getting fabric. I had a very specific vision in mind on what I wanted to stitch her on. I found a fabric that was a linen. I couldn't even see it to stitch on. It was dark and it was linen and it was sparkly and it was like, forget it. And then I tried dyeing a bunch of things, and I wanted to stitch it like on a Lugana, sparkly Lugana, but Lugana just wouldn't take the dye and be dark enough. So I ended up finally doing an Aida and got the fabric that I wanted. But again, look how beautiful her face is. So I stitch her mostly in the summertime because that's when I feel like stitching on mermaids the most. But she is so beautiful. And I think I need a bigger bag. This fabric ends up having to be wadded up too much. Oh goodness. I think he's turning off. Okay, Dogs and Cats Counted Canvas is here. This is a canvas that I got on eBay. I really like the artwork. It is a very inexpensive canvas, which means that it was not printed on here very well. It's very crooked. You can see that when I take the stitching up in a straight line, you know, the actual printed colored part is getting wider and wider away, and that's because it was printed crooked. So basically what I'm doing with this is I'm stitching the animals with a number 5, I think, pearl cotton, number 5 or number 8, I'm not sure which one. And then I'm using GaRon watercolors to stitch the backgrounds with patterns, and then I'm changing some of the animals to look more like animals that have been in my life. So this dog, I changed the colors a little bit. She kind of is representative of my brother's dog Nala that they have now. This, of course, is Baggy. This looks like my cat Liberty Bell, who passed away. This is going to be actually changed into a cat to look like my cat Herbie. So I'm going to use the same shape here, and Herbie was black and white, so so I'm following that to a certain extent. This dog is going to be changed into black and white and made to look like my dog Frodo, who passed away. He was also black and white, but the shape of this dog is very similar to Frodo, so that will be easy. This dog up here looks like Boo, who was my brother's and Stacy and Aaron's dog, who just passed away this couple months ago. And I think those are the only ones that I'm changing. So everything else will be just, dogs. We had a corgi. My husband had a corgi when we were married, and he was a great dog. So that is dogs and cats. Okay, Twisted Rainbow Sampler by Northern Expressions Needlework. Here's the picture of that. Gorgeous. I am doing the one with the specialty stitches, and this is going to be a slow going project. I'm doing it all with silkies, and I've kind of changed the colors a little bit to, actually, because I wanted to use more colors. Let's see if I can tighten this. So I'm doing this thing where I'm kind of like dividing it diagonally in half. And then the colors change, and then it'll happen twice because it's long and narrow. So you kind of got lighter and darker, and then when it changes down below, it'll be darker and lighter. So I'm still following kind of the rainbow pattern of the pattern, but I wanted to use more colors, so that's what I'm doing. And I think that this is pretty much the end. So that's how far I am with that. Some of the specialty stitches on here, especially because this is dark. I didn't get a black. I got a charcoal because the black, I just thought I'm never going to be able to do the black. Charcoal is hard enough. Some of the specialty stitches are a challenge. I'm doing it. I got a big magnifying thing to facilitate that. I don't have to use it for the regular stitching, and I don't have to use it for some of the specialty stitches, but some of them are difficult. But I think for the most part, it looks pretty good. Okay, is that everything that was from here? Yeah, so I think I can put that away. All right. Okay, next is my Autumn Equinox Pixie. If you guys have watched my channel recently, you've seen this because I've been stitching on it a lot. I thought at first like I could get it done this year. What kinds of crazy, crazy ambitious nonsense was I thinking. This thing is way too big for me to have thought that, you know, at the beginning of November with what I had done that I could get it finished. I mean, I probably could have if it was the only thing I stitched on, but that's not really the way I play the game. Oh, please don't fall. All right, my mountain of projects right there, I think has reached its peak. Okay. There we go. Again, Bella Filipina, look at those faces. Gorgeous. Now, I did do a skin conversion on this pattern. I didn't set out to do a skin conversion. It kind of happened because I chose this fabric, and when I was stitching it, I had stitched her arm. That was the only skin that I had stitched, and I realized that the arm just kind of completely blended into the background fabric. And I was like, I don't like that. So I ripped out the arm gently, but I pulled out the arm. Took forever. Stitched it again. I chose some colors from, I think I used the Lord Libidan chart thing to kind of give me some darker cocoa colors. And I stitched it again, and I was like, it's still too late. I don't like it. So I pulled out the arm again. So it's Armageddon. Yeah, so I actually stitched that arm 3 times to get a color that I liked. I think she looks really beautiful with this skin tone. Something that one person said, which I didn't even kind of like connect to that, but it's true. They said that her skin kind of now looks like sort of autumn bark on a tree, and so she really does look like she would be kind of a forest pixie. And I just really love her, and I think her face is really beautiful. I started doing some of the beading because I just couldn't wait, which of course means now I have to be careful when I put her in a hoop to not crush any of the beads. It may get to a point where I need to use a squirrel rod, but that's fine. And I really love her too. So I've been stitching on her a lot recently because she was on my list to finish, as overly ambitious as that was. And so now she's probably gonna kind of rest for a little bit until maybe February when we get to florals, or March is definitely she'll come out because that's fancy folk. So okay, next blue bouquet with cat is this. Yes, this is a DesignWorks kit, art by Nene Thomas again. I guess I can just show you the back because it's just the picture. I mean, it's obvious why I wanted to stitch this because first of all, it's gorgeous. Second of all, it's got a black cat that looks very similar to Baggy. He looks like he might be skinnier than Baggy, but Baggy carries all of his fatness right there. So, yeah, so it could be Baggy hiding behind the flowers. So I'm, of course, I'm not working on the Aida cloth that came with it. Nothing against Aida, and I like stitching on Aida, but I don't like stitching on white Aida or cream Aida. I don't like boring Aida. So when I have something like that comes in a kit, I usually take it out, I keep it, and then it's something that I can dye later. Because I like dyeing as well. But this is, I think, Polstitche's fabric. Yeah. And I don't have very much done on this. I just started this last year. So, just a bit. Looks like the fabric is damaged a little bit right here. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue. Okay, my next thing is my purse project. I like to keep something tiny in a bag in my purse. So it doesn't get stitched on very often because I'm really not, I don't go anywhere except to work. I never have time to stitch at work because I usually eat at my desk and I just work while I'm at work. And but I have it in my purse just in case. So this is a little Mill Hill ornament spring bouquet. I did have it on my list to finish before the end of the year, but then I was like, but then I just have to start another one. And I don't necessarily want to take it out of my purse right now. So that's how far I am. I sometimes stitch on this when I'm over at my brother's as well, if I get sick of the other one. But I do have some other little Mill Hill ornaments, and that's probably when this one's done, I'll do another little Mill Hill ornament and put it in my purse. Oh, I'm getting hungry. I didn't have lunch and it's 2 o'clock. Okay. That one I finished. Little Snapdragon. This is another one I started this year. I really like this chart. It reminds me of my grandpa. He had snapdragons in his backyard and I always used to play with them and make them talk. If you've ever seen snapdragons, when you were a kid, you know what I'm talking about. This is also on a hand dyed by Rolanda fabric. This is an Aida. And that's how far I am. He's so cute. This is a pretty big chart. I think because he looks like he's a tiny little dragon, you think he's gonna be small. I just dumped everything out of this. Hold on. But he is not small. And why I don't have my green dragon needle minder on him, I don't know. I have one. I really should put the dragon needle minder on the dragon project. That would kind of make sense. Okay, next, Bianca Bella by Mirabillia. I started that this year and only have a very small start on her. On another hand dyed by Rolanda fabric because I love it. So yeah, doesn't look like anything yet except some blobs of dress. Maybe I'll do her skin 1/1. I haven't kind of made that decision yet. I'm also wondering, because I haven't tried like 1/1 tent stitch or 2/1 tent for the skin. I don't know, maybe I'll try that with her. I don't know. I guess it'll depend on my mood when I get there. Okay, Mini Flower Kitty by Jeremiah Kentner is a Haid Quick Stitch. Oh no, I'm sorry, Haid Mini. Just said it was Mini Flower Kitty. And I am doing this one on 28 count 2/1 tent. Really like that for full coverage, so that's something I'm planning on doing again. Colors in this are exactly my cup of tea. close to the end. Gigi Bewitching Pixie. This is, could possibly actually be finished before the end of the year. Once I get the Sweet William worked on, this one will be the next one, and if I really focus on it, it could get done. In fact, I was working on it a couple days ago and just left it in the hoop because my intention was to work on it this weekend. So I'm doing this on a backgrounds fabric, which I'm not going to take it off the thing. It's the Cottage one, but that is how far I am. So I mean, the broom needs to be, the broom is almost all beaded, the top of the broom. So there's a bunch more of this dress in here, and the broom, and then beading. Okay, Panda Janlin kit. So this is another background. I really like this fabric, and then kind of had to find something to stitch on it. And originally when I got these backgrounds, I thought I would stitch, you know, one of the Bewitching Pixies, but nothing really fit. So I decided to do these pandas instead. I saw this kit on eBay. So I got the kit, and I'm doing this on this bamboo background, and then it seemed like it was going to be too small, and so I'm going to also be doing some birds that are native to bamboo forests, Gouldy and finches. So those will be up in the bamboo somewhere. But I don't have that. So this is, the fabric's like really cool. I don't have that much done yet on the panda. But see, the pandas are going to be, you know, in here. So I'm like, okay, well then you've got all this fabric and that's going to look dumb. So the birds are going to, maybe there'll be a bird here and a bird here. I don't know exactly. But okay, Rainbow Cat's needlepoint. This is a DesignWorks kit that I am kind of doing my own thing on. So it's a needlepoint kit, but when I got it, I was kind of disappointed with kind of like the yarn is just kind of cheap looking and cheap feeling, and so I just decided to kind of use this as sort of like when I feel like stitching but I don't feel like concentrating, and if I have a headache and don't want to wear the glasses that I need to wear for kind of cross stitch, I can work on this. And I'm just picking out kind of needlepoint pattern stitches and doing it that way. So I mean, it looks cool, but you know, it's not going to be any project that when I'm done I'm going to be like, oh, this is so wonderful. And oh, two more. I was going to say last but not least, but this is second to last but not least, is my cute lion BeStitchMe. I started this in August. I always start a lion pattern in August, so this year I decided to do this one. I'd never done a BeStitchMe before, so I'm trying out a BeStitchMe with my friend Dawn Duval. She's also doing a BeStitchMe, and this is how far I've gotten. So I finished 2 lions completely, pretty far along on the 3rd. Obviously I haven't started the 4th, and then I have to do the back, which is not going to take very long at all, and then put it together. So I don't know when I'm going to work on this next, but I definitely want to get it done before August, because then in August I need to find another lion pattern to stitch on. I was thinking maybe the Tiny Modernist Leo Zodiac. But I don't know. I'm going to have to pick something. And now we are at last but not least. Definitely not least, because I was so obsessed with Chatelaine last year, or this year. And this is my Chatelaine that I'm working on now. It's called Green Lace Garden Mandala. Or True Mystery number 2 or something. This is like the perfect size Chatelaine project for me. It's not a teeny tiny that, you know, oh gosh, there's a needle stuck in me. I wonder what project that came off of. Okay. So it's not teeny tiny. The teeny tiny ones are fun, but, you know, not quite as meaty. So it's not teeny tiny, but it is not gonna take me 20 years to finish either. So that is how far I'm at. So this was put out like in 3 parts. So this is the first part, and then there's 2 more. Obviously, you guys can count to 3, right? So I'm almost done with the first part. Except for the beading. I think on this one I'm going to leave the beading to the end. I think. I don't necessarily have to, because using a bigger hoop, everything will fit inside the one hoop. But I don't know. I'm definitely not going to put like the big stone in the middle until the end. So I don't know. We'll see. Beading is like, when I get the hankering for it, then I start beading things. Okay, so that is it. Yes, that is it. That is my whole everything. Let me see. I know there are those of you out there that like the statistics. So let me see. I started doing things. So in 2022, I had 36 carryover projects. I did 21 new starts, which is a total of 57. I did 1 UFO giveaway, which was Spring Fling by Brenda Jobelan. So that I did like a giveaway, and it was like, I had maybe a quarter to a third done. So I gave away the whole project. And so 57 projects, 1 UFO giveaway. Finishes, I mean, I'm not 100% sure yet. I have, let me see. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 20 finishes, but actually 21, because I have one that isn't on there yet. If I get Sweet William finished, which I will, that's 22 finishes. And then we have Gigi, which is maybe. So it could be 22 or 23 finishes plus the 1. So we're down to about 30 something, but there's 6 that are inactive. So we're under 30, maybe, close, going into next year. Now, of course, I have a bunch of items that I want to start, so, but it's all good. It's all good. I have a comfortable number of projects. I am enjoying this past couple months getting that, you know, fight to a finish kind of thing. So I'm going to be doing that again next year. I did talk a lot about plans a couple of videos ago. So if you haven't watched that one, go back and you can see all my like themes that are going to be coming up. So yeah, it's not too bad. It's only like an hour and 15 minutes. so far. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I have a huge mess to put away now, and I need to eat something. But I really hope you guys enjoyed watching the WIP Parade. I certainly enjoyed getting all my projects out. Still didn't find Whistle Stop Stitcher, so I have no idea where that is. I'm sure I will find it eventually. It's probably tucked away somewhere, and I don't know. I'm just like looking over it every time, because I know I've seen it recently, so I don't know where it is, but we will find it. Oh, maybe it's in there. I don't know. We'll find it. We'll find it. Anyway, I'm so glad to have you guys with me on my cross stitching journey. You know, I love doing videos for you guys each week and all of your comments and everything. So I hope you enjoy this. Leave me comments. Let me know if there's any questions you have about any of the projects. And I will do my best to answer. And until I see you again, please remember to be content, be kind, and be crafty. And have a happy new year. Bye-bye.